Hey, everybody, welcome to the first HomeHappy podcast. We're here with some other people, and we're going to just do a little chat about who we are. And let's start with Dallas. Dallas, introduce yourself.
Well, Dallas Crick, I'm with Royal LePage on my team and with Becky, Hilburn and Kirk Real Estate. And, it's an interesting time right now, especially when it comes to real estate.
Absolutely. Kalinka, introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Kalinka. I am part of the HomeHappy Mortgage team, and we're so excited to kick off our very first episode of our podcast. So excited to chat a little bit more about real estate and get into it.
Awesome. I'm Mike Lloyd. I'm also part of the HomeHappy Mortgage team. We are excited, just like Kalinka said, to be here. We want to create a place where we can chat about all sorts of different things. It doesn't have to be just mortgages or real estate, but to start out with, we're going to talk about real estate just because it affects all of us, and we're all in the business. I'll start with Kalinka maybe, and tell us what real estate means to you, Kalinka.
Real estate is a big opportunity, right? And one thing that I always like to say is there's different ways to get into it. A lot of people try to fit in a box and, follow the steps as someone else has done it. But just understand that there's different ways for you to get into real estate, for you to explore the market. And we're always here, of course, to help. But it's a big opportunity. And I think people should really educate themselves, get professionals around them to explore the market. But yeah, that's what it means to me.
Dallas, it's in it's on your card. So tell us what real estate's like for you.
Real estate's really dynamic, I find. When I was a pilot, I would go fly overseas and come back, and I'd be gone for 6 months. And before I left, I wanted to buy a house, and houses started out at $200,000. I'd go away for 6 months, and I'd save some money, and I'd come back, and houses were $240. And then I'm like, okay, I got to save some more money. And I'd go away for 6 months and they were $280. And it was a really interesting thing. And it was one of those times where I'm like, man, real estate is always changing. You better kind of know what's going on and be educated on what the market's doing. And it's not even just the real estate market. Obviously, it's everything to do with economics.
Yeah, it's so true. And we all need a place to live, and if you can own the place you live in, it makes so much sense for most people. There's some people who are going to rent their whole lives, and that's cool if that's their call. But I just see it as such, as Kalinka said, an opportunity. I mean, you have to live someplace. If you can own something that is actually going to be an asset that goes up in value as opposed to a car or other things. I mean, it's got so much potential. But you're right; it's so hard to get into because it's always changing, and you have to be seriously dedicated to try and make it happen, basically. And I'm a huge believer in education. I don't think everybody has to be an expert at it, but I think they have to have a general understanding of it because it does affect everything in our economy. I mean, you think about, lumber prices and now we're talking about tariffs and inflation and all these things that go hand in hand with causing issues and also immigration. I mean, that's been a huge thing. So, if you'd asked me 10 years ago if I thought that a lack of homes would be a problem, like I would never have thought that. And yet here we are. You can't get anybody to build a house right now because it's too expensive and it's too hard to do. And the government's made all the regulations not in the developer's favor, it's in everybody else's favor. So that said, I mean, I still think it's an amazing opportunity for almost anybody to try and get into because at the end of the day, it doesn't go straight up, but it slowly works its way up and sometimes fast, sometimes slower, but it's always trending upwards. I mean, the best time to buy real estate is yesterday. It's never, it's never the perfect time. But Dallas, I mean, you must deal with that all the time. Is that something you run into?
Absolutely. And I'm with you on that too. When we look at inflation, the government will say, well, we got to get housing prices under control. Well, you can't get the price of bananas under control. So you're not going to get the price of housing under control because there's so much that goes into it. If labor prices go up, if material goes up, so does the price of building a home. And obviously supply and demand. If the numbers don't make sense for builders right now, well, they're going to sit on the sidelines and we'll just see the supply and demand of single family homes. Definitely, no one is building right now.
Yeah. Kalinka?
Yeah, and I think that's why there's such a constant change, and you also need a plan that follows that, right? So the way your parents or my parents or grandparents bought a house is not the same way that, my generation would do, or the generation after me. And so you need to really adjust and make sure that you have a plan. So, you don't stumble into a bunch of problems along the way and don't follow just one advice. Yeah.
Yeah, and as the old guy in the group, I mean, I can attest the fact that, man, I wish I'd started earlier. And I sound like what my parents used to tell me, and it's sad, but it's so true. Like when you're in your 20s, to make the effort to save up money and do the hard things, it's tough. It's not like there's lots of other things in your face, and there's lots of fun things to do and spend
Totally.
money on. Man, if you can get into the market earlier, it makes such an impact on you the rest of your life. And I've seen that over and over. And I mean, we see clients that, take it really seriously and have saved a ton of money. And sometimes I wonder, like, because we see everything, and I wonder how they do that. Like, how do they save that much money that fast, and yet they can do it? So, to the people that, sit on their couch and complain that it's too expensive and they can never get in, you're never going to get in with that attitude, it's going to take a lot of effort. It's not going to be an easy thing, but that's part of the reason it's such a good thing when in the end when you get it, because it's hard to get into, and generally the harder it is to get into, the better it is. And that doesn't mean everybody wins in real estate. I mean, there's some, I'm not going to ask the realtor to answer this question, but I know, like, I'm not a huge fan of pre-sales. I think it's a huge problem for most people, because they go in and they sign a developer's contract and it's the developer's favor. You're locked in for 2 or 3 years at a price that might go down. We see clients all the time now that are trying to get out of those kind of contracts, and you can't. Like, the developer is not going to let you out. So buying that way just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But everybody's situation is different, and I'm not saying that's a blanket answer, but it can be tricky and it's not easy. And I guess that's the message I'm trying to get out is, for the people who are already in their homes and have lots of equity and they've seen it go up, they're happy. But yeah, it's you've got to get it. They had to get in there in the first place, so it's not the easiest thing to do.
And I think we're going to see, Mike, I might go on a bit of a tangent here, is when you're buying from a developer, you're buying at a projected price of what that home could be worth 4 years down the road, right? So if we're in a flat market like we're seeing now for the past 3 years, since we're basically back to the numbers of fall winter of 2021, and they're projected all these gains that they keep talking about. Yeah, you're backwards right now, especially if you're coming due to close.
Yeah, and people are naive, don't really check the contract very much. They sign on for it and put down $50,000 and think everything's great, and then, oh, I have to actually complete on this. I can't just walk away and leave my 50,000. No, they're going to sue you if you don't. Like, it's not. It's a scary situation. So, like Kalinka said earlier, I think surrounding yourself with the right professionals is massively important, so that you don't make those easy mistakes. And education. I mean, it comes down to understanding what you're doing and what you're signing, and not everybody is on your side. Some people are working against you, whether you know it or not. But yeah, we didn't mean to completely talk about real estate, but I do think that, maybe Kalinka talk about the different kinds of real estate there are out there, the different things people think about buying, like mobile homes and other avenues. Talk about that a little bit, the ups and downs.
Yeah, so of course, some people explore and would like to buy mobile homes, and of course, condos or single homes. There's different kinds of real estate out there. It boils down to really building a plan for you and something that works out for what you want, right? A little bit of what I spoke earlier, like what suits a family or someone doesn't exactly have to suit you. So building a plan to make sure that what you're looking for really matches what you want is something essential in this process, 100%. And another thing too, a lot of people can look at the market and everything and be scared and not really go after what they want. And some people will really explore and they will find options, they will find solutions. So someone can sit on the couch all day long and be like, no, it's too scary to get out there, I don't know what to do. And some people will go and educate themselves, look for answers, speak to professionals, see what's out there, see their options, and really get into what they want. So we always try to bring people build a plan, né? and then of course they can go after it.
Absolutely. Dallas, when you get first time buyers, for example, or people who haven't bought before, they probably are looking at usually the cheapest thing they can get, or talk to that and why that sometimes isn't always the best answer.
Well, it could be the best answer.
Yeah.
What I do see a lot of is, you want the nicest, it's your first car and you want to buy a Porsche, right? So it's a good time, your first time buyer, let's get in the market, but let's buy that condo. Let's not just because you can get a loan for a certain amount of money, you can pay monthly on a certain amount. Let's not be like house poor. Let's get a condo. Let's build some equity, start saving some money, and we can move up the ladder. I started with an 800 square foot condo, then moved to a 1,500 square foot condo, and then to a single family house, and now to an acreage, right? Like it's a progression. And so I think it's good to educate, especially first time buyers. You don't have to have it all right from the beginning. Let's get your 6 out of 10. We can do some renovations, make it an 8 out of 10. You're good for 5 years, and then we can move up.
Yeah, I like the stepping stone idea. Like, it doesn't have to be a home run. You can move into a place that's good for 2, 3, 5 years. That's okay. And like you said, I can't believe how many people, I call it the HGTV generation, but so many people look at a place and it's the wrong color and they will not go any further. It's like, good Lord, it's just paint. Like, paint the thing, and everybody else that isn't going to buy it is you won, because now you painted it, and now when you go to sell it, everybody else is going to look at it again. So yeah, it's funny what people get hung up on and concerned about. I love having a plan, and you should have like a short-term, mid-term, and a long-term plan. I mean, your long-term plan might be buying that house, but to get there, you get the condo to start and get going. And then, like you said, save some more money and work towards what you want to do. And if you can really do well, you could keep the condo and buy the house and rent out the condo. But I mean, there's lots of scenarios there. But I just like the idea that you think strategically, don't think emotionally. I think that's a big part of real estate. Is too many people get wrapped up in, oh my God, I love this place and I don't care what the cost is, I'm going to buy it no matter what. And it's like, oh, that's not the best strategy generally.
But it's usually the strategy.
Yeah.
So emotion sells real estate.
Yeah. Well, why don't we wrap it up there? This is just the start. Obviously, we're not giving out advice to you personally. We would much rather have a chat with you to give you that specific advice. We'd love you to subscribe and join in the conversation. Put some comments down, ask a question. We'll definitely be looking for ideas for future video or podcasts. And yeah, thank you guys for being here. And thank you. I guess we're going to say goodbye.
Thank you. Looking forward to the next one.